Hey, okay, I am recording. It's Let's Play Wulong Fallen Dynasty. I'm Mysterious JG, and my intention here is to just see if Fartknocker069 or some other similar gallant hero can jump on and just hand us victory over the final boss of the DLC, because I don't want to play this game anymore, but I do want to wrap up this DLC. Like, I'm perfectly fine with just, okay, you know what, this last boss, we just let somebody beat us, or beat it for us. I want to not do that mode. I want to do online lobby. Recruit eyes assist you in conquering this battlefield. Moments later. Alright, I got somebody who's ready to go here. So let's go do it. Let's go beat up this boss. I hope this guy's like super high level and ready to go, because I don't know how good I'm gonna be. Oh, I've got several guys who are here ready to do this for me. Excellent. Because I don't want anything to do with this boss. I'm kind of over it. I've probably edited this out. I had one more fight against him, which was kind of singularly unimpressive.
Evil humans, despair at your powerlessness. Son of heaven. Knows no bounds. The son of heaven, Emperor. I seem to have misjudged the situation.
I don't want to lose this now. I don't know how high level these guys are. They don't seem to be doing it all for me.
Deserve to die 1,000 deaths. Such impertinence. We shall make your deaths most excruciating.
Woo! There you go. My ally is leaving, and I'm done with the game. So, Vanquisher of Lu Bu cuky2009. I love and appreciate you. I'm not even going to call you Fart Knocker 069 because now I'm done with this series. It happened because I got somebody else to come in and do it for me, basically. I mean, that's what happened. I was done with the game. But, you know, I've been, like, the two people who are watching the series have been hanging on for like 3 weeks. So I dressed as Yuan Shao to make it hurt more when I killed poor Yuan Shu. And then I pulled in somebody else to do the work. Here comes Guan Yu. Here comes Guan Ping. Watch him ready to come now. Shang Fei won't show up because this DLC's not about him. So I'm going to protect, I think we said this is Zhu Shu, the guy who recommends, not Zhu Shu, like, whatever. The guy who recommends Pang Tong and Zhuge Liang later. So we're kind of protecting him while the Guan family singers gather. But the light of friendship, Sailor Moon's crystal power, has vanquished Yuan Shu's demons. And we'll get some kind of credits and ending, and I'm just really grateful that this is done.
I once believed that I could use my swords to rid this land of all cruelty.
But that was a bunch of bullshit. Who am I kidding?
I rushed onto the battlefield, unwilling to listen to my friends cautioning me to be patient. But with each battle, I began to realize that injustice could never truly be eradicated.
So I became an unjust
It was
man
the
myself.
shining light of benevolence that allowed me to find salvation at long last.
Okay.
While swords can put an end to villainy within our reach, only with dignity can one vanquish the corruption across the land.
What about dignified
I will
swords?
make full use of my abilities to protect the shining light of benevolence. Until
Someone
peace
fakes my
finally
mom's
comes to
handwriting
this
and
land.
tricks me into joining the forces of evil. Yeah, this guy's whole deal, if he's who I think he is, his whole deal is that, well, it's more complicated than that. In the novel, he wants to help Liu Bei, but his mother lives in Cao Cao's territory, and Cao Cao has somebody learn his mother's handwriting. Well, I'll tell you in a minute.
Due to our bonds of companionship,
Hi, I'm all
I
sassy.
found Governor Liu in the dungeons.
the elixir shall no longer pose a threat to Jing province. Nonetheless, I can already see that we shall be facing an ongoing age of warfare. I simply regret that I lack the strength and wisdom to save everyone.
Not
Our
without the
forces
help
have
of Fart
brought me
Knocker
a strategist
069 or
of your
Lu Bu
talents.
Vanquisher
I
Cucky
wonder
2009 or
if you'll
whoever.
agree to help me.
Said I wasn't going to call him Fart Knocker
If you are
069.
willing to forgive me for concealing my identity and testing your
Well, stop
resolve,
concealing your identity. Just tear off the mask. There you go. Okay.
I now know you are the one I am destined to serve.
He pulled
My
off the
name
mask
is
and revealed
Shushu.
himself to be a guy we've
From
never
this
met, but it
moment,
is Shushu, so.
I shall make full use of my talents under your command.
I didn't offer you a
You have
job.
found a skilled strategist, my dear.
How do you get that? He had the skill needed to wear a ninja mask and get murdered by demons. Only a true strategist could. Man, the Peach Garden Oaths is getting bigger and more complicated here.
It is here in Xinye of Jing province.
Is
that our
she
new
joining
journey
our brotherhood?
begins.
Or are
Let us
we
set out
joining
together
Liu Bei's
with a renewed
marriage?
pledge of justice.
Hey. Wolong Fallen Dynasty, upheaval in Xinjiang. But there you go, folks. I'm glad to have that over. Very relieved. Got a little nervous when, like, I got the message that, like, Ally was struggling. That, oh, maybe this is somebody else who's at a super low level and is not actually ready for this fight. But no, they did almost all of the work for me there. I did my little bit to try to be beneficial. I cast the spells that provide buffs, but this person already had like 800 buffs on them. I pretty much was in the audience watching someone else beat the final boss for me, but I just didn't. I reached the point where I was done. I've gotten some pretty tough boss fights that I toughed it out, and I've made myself get good to get through it in the past when there was more gameplay to come. But there's just this sense. And Neo 2's final DLC boss wasn't really all that bad. Like, I remember feeling like, hey, there were bosses before this that were worse than this. Maybe it was just because it favored a style of play I already did by default a bit. But that fight was just like, there's just too many freaking things to learn how to get the dodge timing for it. I'm just not feeling it. So I was happy to let it go.
With your help, we were able to defeat Yuan Shu.
Well, I'm glad we talked to you. I'm glad I hung around and
as a token of my gratitude, I shall offer some advice before you set out on your journey.
Stop letting others do all the work for you. Hey, this new feature, the new feature set stratagem has been unlocked. Stratagems are items that are endowed with unique abilities. They can be obtained as random drops from enemies on the path to the Rising Dragon and beyond. And up to 2 can be equipped via set stratagems under battle preparations in the battle flag menu. No, however, you cannot equip 2 of the same type of stratagem at the same time. Continue. There are 2 types of stratagems. Passive stratagems, which automatically activate once equipped, and active stratagems could be activated with blah 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 blah. The latter can only be used a certain number of times, but the number of uses can be replenished by resting in a battle flag. While stratagems possess embedding slots, jewels cannot be extracted or embedded via the embed function at the blacksmith. Okay. So it's just another, like, hey, keep playing, New Game Plus.
Enter a new era, in which wisdom will be the determining factor in battle.
And then money.
We shall soon enter a new era, in which we shall soon enter a new...
So there you go. Yeah, but I'd very much reached the point where I was kind of done. And if you know that, hey, if I tough it out, there'll be more to play, and hey, I just got to get past this boss, and there'll be another section of gameplay that's not quite as nasty as the boss fight, or maybe the boss will drop cool gear that's good to use, and like... But once you get to the point where it's like, you know what, you've been through a main game and 2 DLCs, and this is the 3rd and final DLC, and you're not touching the game again, ever, once you beat this one boss. It just gets... I know it's counterintuitive, but it just gets that much harder to make myself even want to do it. To be like there's nothing left of this game after I finish this. So, well, honestly, no, that's not quite what stopped me from getting good and beating this boss. Although ultimately I did, and I just let someone else beat it for me. But it's what stopped me from grinding for more levels, because I did a lot of that around the time we were trying to beat Lu Bu, and I never really did a lot of level grinding after that. But it stopped me from going down the path of, oh, let me, like, I can play normal missions on a higher difficulty, up to and including playing through most of the main story, to get to where there's guaranteed item drops or things that would let me level up my equipment one more time, and maybe get, like, the crazy... Oh, that was almost a costly mistake. And I mean, you remember that we had our... we've got our armor that's got... Grace of Jijua, the Black Emperor. Like all the crazy, goofy post-regular game sets. We can get like level 5 armor with... random stuff that wouldn't normally, like, yeah, yellow turban soldier armor, which has Grace of Xiao Hao, the White Emperor. Like, I was like, well, I could grind for those. Apparently takes a really long time to get full sets of those to drop. But I could go down that path, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, to do what? Like, it would be hours of grinding to beat one fight and then be done. It would almost be like, oh, if I hit a stumbling block, but there was going to be hours of gameplay after I beat that boss, maybe I really would have considered that. But it just wasn't. It wasn't even a thing. It's like, yeah, like do hours of grinding to try to get some crazy set that would allow me to beat that boss. To me, it was like, I was just as happy to do what I did, which was got Lu Bu Conqueror cuky2009. His name was something like that. So, hey, if by some 1,000,000 to 1 chance you see this video, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And I do joke around about the people who jump in, whether they are friends or foes. I give them stupid YouTube names like FartKnocker069, Butt Scratcher 420, whatever. But I do appreciate that that guy jumped in and allowed us to see what I knew would be a short and not particularly rewarding end. So Jushu, I'll just cover him real quick. I suppose we could go to The, is it documents? Character directory? Here we go. We got a lot of information about guys. I spent very little time reading any of this stuff. But, Jushu Yuan, I don't see tomes dropped by this enemy. I don't see any way that it'll let me control... Doesn't it normally give you some kind of... Well, I mean, in Neo, I keep comparing the game to Neo. It's obviously made by the same team as Neo with a lot of similar stuff. Maybe it was the Divine Bestiary, or Demon Bestiary where this happened. Like, if you beat a certain number of them, you unlock more information about them. We probably did beat enough of these guys, though. I don't even know what that is. We probably didn't beat very many of them. These murders were considered by Zhang Bao to be sacrificial rituals in the name of the divine Tai Yi. Never mind. So Jushu's deal is in the novel. I think it's around the time Liu Bei is first fleeing from Cao Cao's forces. So he shouldn't actually really meet him yet. Although the timeline's all goofed up here. Because, yeah, I think he is at odds. Like, in this game, he's not at odds with Cao Cao in the main story. But the DLC, I guess, is set after. When Liu Bei is at odds with Cao Cao, and it's basically the early part of Liu Bei's post... You know, he has the whole storyline with Liu Bei going around and doing stuff and fighting Yellow Turbans. And he gets his own territory, and Lu Bu steals one of his cities. And he fights back with the help of Cao Cao and blah, blah. But Liu Bei eventually enters the point where he's kind of hanging around in Cao Cao's territory. And there's the whole famous scene, if you are familiar with the novel, with the lightning storm, and Cao Cao invites Liu Bei to a pavilion, and they're drinking together, and Cao Cao basically gets drunk and more or less reveals that he considers Liu Bei the only true rival he has in the land as someone who could rule. And Liu Bei knows that he's basically cooked at this point. He's got to get out, because Cao Cao, in a moment of being a little bit drunk and a little too eager to talk, essentially tells Liu Bei, without saying it directly, that, yeah, I'm going to have to get rid of you. So Liu Bei does flee, and Cao Cao's sending armies after Liu Bei as Liu Bei is trying to establish his own territory, and Jushu kind of comes in and becomes a strategist. And I forget the name of the guy he meets who recommends Jushu, but Jushu comes in, and he's like a Taoist, however you pronounce it correctly. And he ends up serving Liu Bei. But in the novel, Cao Cao's like, this Jushu guy is pretty smart, and he's really making it difficult to defeat Liu Bei. Doesn't his mother live in my territory? Like, one of his advisors is like, hey, his mom lives here. So they cook up this plan where this agent of Cao Cao's visits Jushu's mom a lot and befriends her and ends up getting her to write letters and inspects her handwriting and fakes her handwriting and writes a letter to Jushu saying, you know, I am in need. If you were a filial son, you would be here with me, carrying with me in my dotage. Please come to Cao Cao City and, you know, stop not taking care of your mother. So Jushu reads this, and he has to go back and take care of his mother. And he and Liu Bei have this weepy farewell, and Liu Bei's like, I wish I could get you to stay, but I know that you are too good. You are a filial. You're too good a Confucius. Your filial piety is such. I could never ask you to stay here and not go look after your mother, because filial piety is so important. And Jushu weeps, and they part. And right before he goes, Jushu says, you know what I'll do, though? I'll recommend two people. If you get either of them to work for you, you'll take over the land for sure. And he drops these vague hints, which point to ultimately Pang Tong, the fledgling phoenix, and Zhuge Liang, the rising sleeping dragon. And then Jushu goes to Cao Cao City, and he because he's in Cao Cao City, he says he has to work for Cao Cao, but he tells Cao Cao, I'll never plot a strategy. Maybe he doesn't say this to Cao Cao. Maybe he just kind of swears it to himself. But it's like, I'll never plot a strategy against Liu Bei. But I guess I have to serve Cao Cao now if I'm going to live in Cao Cao City. And, Xuchang, in other words. And then he goes to visit his mother, and his mother was like, what? You were serving the great Lord Liu Bei, a wonderful symbol of benevolence known throughout the land? And you were tricked by these tricksters into coming here to Cao Cao City. I am ashamed of you. And then she kills herself to spite him. And he throws himself to the ground and bashes his forehead against the stone and weeps and does all the things that Confucian characters do in that novel to show how sorry they are. But yeah, then he refuses to ever strategize against Liu Bei, so he's sent to the Northwest territories to kind of guard against the Ma clan because Ma Teng had been killed and Ma Chao could be coming for revenge at any time. And he doesn't participate in Chirbi, and he kind of disappears from the story completely. And in the notes to the novel I was reading, it says, yeah, that the author here is creating kind of a pious reason for Zhu Xu to leave Liu Bei and go to work for Cao Cao. But in fact, historically, the guy he's based on was just like, this Liu Bei is this lost cause. I'm going to go work for the winning side, and just ditches him and goes to work for Cao Cao because at the time, that clearly looks like the smart play. So it's interesting. He's an interesting character because a lot of care, and I remember thinking he was an interesting character reading the novel after having played Dynasty Warriors 5. And then he's introduced as playable in like Dynasty Warriors 8 or 9, and he's just kind of dull. And that's the problem, is like those games now have so many characters, it's hard to really care about any of them. It's only the ones who've been around since the beginning. Like the guys who were important enough to be playable characters from Go are kind of still fun, but like when every force has like 30 characters, they don't all stand out, and Zhu Xu gets lost in the you know, the mix there. But I still thought it was interesting that here's this guy, fun guy to play as in like an RTK 10 kind of game where you can play as a character and move from force to force and stuff. But it was interesting because he's supposed to be this brilliant strategist, and it's just fun that apparently he's so brilliant and cool that the author felt the need to create this really convoluted fictional story around why he would leave Cao Cao. And also, it contains stuff that just was probably so dramatic in the mind of this author. Because the guy who actually wrote, what is his name? Liu Guangzhu. I'm forgetting the name of the actual author. It is written by... or it's attributed to Luo Guangzhong. So I don't remember the dates, but he's writing this thing like around the time of the Boxer Rebellions, I think, or maybe a little before. He's writing it kind of at a period where China is at a low ebb, and like foreign invaders from Europe have really kind of laid the empire low. And so he's writing this book about things that happened. He wrote this book. It's an old book. I think it might be older than Boxer Rebellion times. But it's an old book, so it's not very modern in its style. So you got to deal with the fact that it's translated from Chinese and that it's not very modern in its style anyway. And it's telling this very traditionalist story. It must be older than the Boxer Rebellion. But either way, it was written many hundreds of years after the events that took place in it. So it's an old book about even older events. And I find it fascinating. This really over-the-top, it just seems so strange. I'm sure it seems really weird to a modern Chinese reader, and it seems even stranger to a Western reader, with, you know, faking the mom's handwriting to get him to come, and then the mom killing herself in shame because this guy would leave Liu Bei. Liu Bei is like really, until Zhuge Liang comes along, like Liu Bei is like the ultimate holy of holies. We should all weep to be even privileged to read about someone as fine and wonderful as Liu Bei is. And then Zhuge Liang shows up and makes Liu Bei look like an idiot, and like really petty and small. But anyway, I'm vamping like crazy considering that I've been talking about how much I've been ready for this series to be done. So I'm going to call it a video and a series. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know it's a bit of a weird finale, but I just kind of was ready to be done, so I'm glad that we are. And when we come back next time, it'll be playing some game that isn't this one. Because the little bit that I didn't do, like the optional side mission that involves like fighting a gauntlet of bosses, I ain't doing those. I guess I could go down that same road of trying to recruit someone else to do it, but no, there's no dialogue or anything for doing that. So we're done. Special thanks to the original Fart Knocker 069 who helped me beat Lu Bu, even though I went back and did that without him later. And special thanks to Lu Bu Vanquisher cuky2009, I think was his name. It's something close to that, for helping me beat Yuan. I am not going to bother to go back and do that on my own. But also special thanks to everybody who watched, Special thanks to Koei for continuing to make these games. Special thanks to me for having recorded the series. And special thanks to the concept of ending videos. Bye.